I'll just go through the preliminaries. Welcome to Development Management Committee. When you all settle down. Members of the public wishing to live in one. Members of the public are entitled to take photographs, film, audio recording, report on public meetings in accordance with Open Office Local Government Bodies Regulation 2014. And the emergency evacuation procedure as normal.
Thank you. Apologies, Chair, have been received from councillors Alia Khan and Hanif. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On the minutes of the previous meeting. January, yeah. David, sir. Clive.
Yeah, thanks very much. There is a small problem with the minutes. If you look towards the bottom of page 5, the recommendation as moved by the chair was seconded and members voted in support of the application. It's technically correct, of course, but it does give the very clear, I think, impression that the decision was unanimous, and of course it wasn't. There were at least 3 people voting against. It would help if that could be made in the minute.
Yeah, okay, well, I've got it there. What are you referring to?
At the bottom of page 5.
The first item on the agenda, the wood burner in the back garden.
Oh, he's got close.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you just reflect that in the minutes.
Yeah.
Apart from that, you okay with the rest of the minutes?
Oh, no problem.
Okay, thank you. I'll sign them later.
Can I come in, Chair? Yeah, it should say, well picked up, Councillor Flint. It should say, and the application was approved rather than members voted in support. That's the point, isn't it? It should say, and the application was approved. Because it was approved, it's just what approved unanimously. Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Okay. Minutes okay then. Section 106, Local Government Finance Act. Declarations. Any disclosure of interest tonight? Either disclose now or when they might call. Urgent business, I'm not aware of any. Preference of committee and other bodies. And we'll go straight on to service issues. Do you want to have a committee scale of charges? Right?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a short item. The proposed charges for the development management are included in Appendix A of the report, and the detailed charges listed in Appendix A are discretionary and therefore may be amended by the Council if minded to do so. However, these charges were increased by an average of 27.2% in April 2025, and therefore it's not proposed to amend any of the charges to apply from this April. Similarly, for the charges for pre-application advice included in Appendix B, these again are discretionary charges. Therefore, the Council has the ability to amend these charges if minded to do so. But again, these were increased by an average of 36.2% in April 2025, with increases across all categories. Given the high level of this increase, it is not proposed to increase any of the charges to apply from this April. Accordingly, members are asked to note the report and approve the scale of charges without any increases in this instance for these reasons. Thank you, Chair.
We've got to approve no increases. Happy? The scale of charges? Noted. We note anyway, don't we? Yeah, can't do much about it. Okay, we go on to the planning items now. Agenda item 8, 14 Needham Road. Nyla, are you gonna cover 2 of them, or are you gonna do one at a time?
I'm going to do one at a time.
Okay, that's fine.
Chair, members of the committee, good evening. The application before you is for a change of use of 14 Needham Road from a single family dwelling, use class C3 to a small children's care home under use class C2 for 3 children. The applicant is Forever 13 Care Limited. The site is a detached modern dwelling located at the turning head of Needham Road within a residential area characterized by detached and semi-detached properties. The applicant proposes to accommodate up to 3 children aged between 7 to 18 years who require emotional, behavioral, or learning support needs. The home would be staffed 24 hours a day with shift-based handovers and routine visits from social workers or health professionals. No external alterations are proposed, so the building would appear as a typical family home. The relevant policies are LLP 1, LLP 15, LLP 25, LLP 31, and LLP 32, related to housing, design, transport, and amenity. Members will recall that policy LLP 15 seeks to protect family homes, and this is an important consideration. However, national planning policy also emphasizes meeting the needs of different groups, including looked after children. In this case, the report balances the local need for family housing against the nationally acknowledged shortage of children's residential care provision. 19 surrounding properties were notified, 6 objections were received, raising concerns about noise and disturbance, antisocial behavior, parking pressures and highway safety, the loss of the family dwelling, impact on a residential character. The local highway authority raised no objection, confirming parking provision is sufficient for the scale of the use. Members will note that in terms of the principle of the development, members will note that while there is a local need for family housing, the proposal must also be considered in the context of the national need for care homes and in light of the recent appeal decisions concerning C2 children's homes in similar areas within Luton. Inspectors have given weight to the national shortfall of children's care provision and have considered such uses to fall within the meaning of housing for the purposes of policy LLP 15. Importantly, in this case, conditions are proposed requiring that the property revert back to a C3 use if the children's home ceases to operate. This avoids the permanent loss of a family housing. In terms of the character and residential amenity, no external works are proposed. In terms of activity, the home would operate in a controlled and a supervised manner. The level of comings and goings is comparable to, and in some cases less than, what would be expected from a large single family occupying the property. The applicants have also provided an updated management plan, including a neighbour complaint procedure, which will be secured by a waiver condition to deal with any issues that may arise. Overall, no material harm to neighbouring amenity has been identified. In terms of highways and parking, the site has 3 on-site parking spaces, exceeding the indicative requirement for a small C2 use. The local authority confirms that there are no anticipated highway or safety implications arising from the development. Conclusion. Chairs and members, to summarise, the use is a small scale and domestic in character. There is no physical impact on the street scene. Amenity and highway impacts are acceptable. Conditions provided appropriate control, including a restriction on occupancy and reversion to C3 use. On balance, the national need for children's residential accommodation and the specific circumstances of the case justify an approval. The recommendation before members is to grant planning permission subject to the conditions set out in the report. Thank you, Chair.
I'm searching through for somewhere in the report. I remember seeing that there is reference to 3 full-time staff. I may be confusing this with the other one, of course, in which case, apologies. But I'm curious to understand whether the management plan that they have submitted, which we haven't seen, of course, does that explain how on earth you manage to cover 24 hours, 7-day a week staff on duty with only 3 people? That simply isn't possible. It assumes that no one's ever going to be ill, no one's going to have a day off, no one's ever going to have a holiday. Does this management plan actually cover that issue?
The plan covers that each of the children, because this one does have 3 children, so they will have 3 care homes, plus there'll be a manager, plus there'll be a deputy manager on site as well. I would assume that if someone's off sick, they will have cover, as with anything other. I mean, that would be required, I would assume.
does the management plan say that there will be an adult on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
I think it's 24-hour care, so I'll have to check back on the, can you just have a quick look? Can I check that for you and come back to you? Because I'll have to go and look at the management plan, but I can confirm that if it needs to be, I'll come back to you on that, councillor.
Yeah, I'd be quite happy for confirmation of that, but I think we should be quite clear that if it doesn't, then it jolly well should.
Okay.
And that we can't grant planning permission for this unless the management plan does include 24-hour on-duty staff. We can't have children under 18 without a permanent adult on duty to care for them.
Okay. I'm sure it is, but I'll double check on the, and if not, then we can have that amended, the management plan amended to reflect that if it's not clearly stated in the management plan.
Stephen, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Councillor Franks. I understand your point, but is it a planning matter? The planning issues is the number of people in the property, and that's what this committee should be concerned with. In terms of the adults, as I say, I understand your point, but I don't think that's a planning issue. It must come under the umbrella of other legislation in terms of, I don't know, pro rata number of children to carers and, you know, DBS kind of checks and those kind of things. I don't see it being an actual planning consideration, save for the numbers of people in this property compared with the numbers of people in the C3 dwelling. That's what this planning committee should be considering, not those other things. But I understand your point. Thank you.
Would it not come under the control of Luton Borough Council's Children's Services to approve this or inspect it to see if it's suitable? You know, I might have missed it. There might have been comments in there from.
No, they didn't comment on it. I think it's Ofsted that tends to govern these care homes and how they operate rather than, I think we'd only inspect it if we were placing children in there. That's my understanding. So, but Children's Services haven't commented on this application.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does say 24-hour care, but I'll just double check the operation management plan to see what it states.
Yeah,
but it
I'm
says
sure-
it'll be like one carer for each of the children.
Yeah, I'm sure that the council would have an oversight because it's within the borough. They
Yeah.
have some responsibility. Okay, Lee.
Thanks, Chair. So, my question is based around some casework that came about from a similar change of use in my ward, and it may sort of be more on the side of building regulation rather than planning, but I'll ask it anyway. Maybe you can confirm that it is more regulation, but the management of the children's home in my ward, they wanted to make sure that, for obvious reasons, the property was as homely as possible, and they had come to an agreement around the like the fire safety management, but then they were told that they had to put these massive, great big metal brackets, fire safety brackets, in, and they were trying to fight against this because obviously make it, you know, these massive, great big metal brackets don't make a place homely, and you're talking about kids who have, you know, been in care, wanting to get over trauma, have trauma to deal with and the like. So I sought advice from Children's Services. They weren't really able to interject, and I ultimately advised them to contact the local MP, but I doubt the local MP was able to do much either. So I guess my question is around, can we, from a planning perspective, put in some kind of a condition that any fire safety related advice, whilst being in line with best practice, is also consider it in terms of the use of the property? Again, I don't know whether you know, it's more a question as to whether that's possible, whether it's planning, whether it's regulation, or whether it's kind of like a completely grey area.
I think it's more building regs rather than planning, 'cause that they deal with the safety side and fire side of it. I don't think we can deal with it under planning. Clive?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a builder control issue, not one that we can control through the planning process, unfortunately, in this instance.
Further questions? Yeah, Francis?
Yeah, thank you. I probably know the answer to this, but the condition that if it closes as a children's home, it reverts back to a house, a dwelling. Doesn't that sort of weaken this application? Because either the property is suitable for a children's home and this planning application, or it's not. But is that clause so you couldn't have a further application to turn it into something else, probably less desirable? Is that what the clause is about?
I'll answer that. Basically, in terms of the day-to-day activities in these small children care homes, they're not different to like operating as a family, except instead of parents, you have carers. So planning inspectors, they always consider that in terms of the day-to-day activities, you're not actually changing the use as such in terms of day-to-day living. But what's happened is that in planning terms, you are changing the use from a C3 to a C2. This is just to, because obviously loss of housing is a real issue. So what we're making, that condition is supposed to make it easy for people to revert back to housing if a C2 use exists. Instead of coming back for planning permissions and stuff, they can revert it back to a C2, C3 for which, there's a greater need.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. On the issue of 24-hour care, I think it's on page 7 of the operation management, and it says the home will be staffed 24 hours a day. Staff will be trained and obviously formed care. Yeah, so it'll be staffed 24 hours a day. That answer your question or not? And each young person will have an individual, person looking after them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. If I could take your vote, please. Councillor Agisola, sorry. Four, sorry. Councillor Ambia. Councillor Bridgen.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Farouk.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Franks.
4.
Councillor Mead.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Raja.
4.
Councillor Steer. Thank you.
4.
Thank you, councillors. Councillor Taylor.
4.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to quickly go through the slides. So again, it's the property right next door. There are a pair of detached properties just on the turning head. And again, this presentation also relates to the proposed change of number 16 Needham Road from a Class C3 to a Class C2 for 3 young persons. The applicant is Children to Prosper Limited. Before going through the assessment, I want to highlight that no representations have been received on this application. There have been no objections, no supporting comments, and no neighbour responses. The only reason this application is before members is because it directly mirrors the application at number 14 Needham Road, which did attract representations. In the interest of consistency and transparency, both cases are being considered by committee. As members will recall, the key issues in the Number 14, in number 14's assessment concerned the principle of the development, intensity of occupation, impact on residential amenity, and the compatibility of a C2 use within a residential area. Those same issues arise here, and the physical and operational context at number 14 is materially the same. The submitted ground floor plans confirm a low-intensity layout with no external alterations proposed. The property retains its domestic scale and appearance, and its relationship to the neighbouring dwellings remains unchanged. It is also appropriate to reflect on the impact of the approved scheme at number 14 on number 16, particularly in terms of activity levels and the potential for intensification. At number 14, members accepted that small-scale C2 use contained fully within the existing building would not result in a harmful levels of activity. The situation at number 16 is comparable. Although the number of children and carers differ slightly between the two schemes, in this case, the proposal at number 16 accommodates fewer children supported by the proportionate staffing level. This results in a lower overall intensity of occupation than number 14. Even when considering both permissions together, the combined level of activity across the two properties would not exceed that associated with two typical large family households. There is no evidence that the numbers proposed would cumulatively give rise to undue pressure on the residential amenity of the surrounding area. In terms of the neighbouring amenity, more broadly, the expected pattern of activity within a C2 use of this type is not considered to exceed what would occur within a standard C3 dwelling. There is nothing to suggest that noise, comings and goings, or general disturbance will result in any harmful impact. Taking all of this into account, alongside the fact that no public representations have been received, and the clear consistency and the recently approved scheme at number 14, the proposal is considered acceptable. For these reasons, the recommendation is to approve the application subject to the conditions set out in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Any questions, members? Lee, saw you first, and Dave.
Thanks, Chair. Mine is just over clarification of inconsistency. So in the subject, it says for up to 4 children, but then I think elsewhere and in your oral presentation, you said 3.
Because I did both of them, I think.
Okay, so this one is up to 4 as per the title. Okay. This is so this is the 3, and the one we've approved was for the 4. Okay. Would it be obviously possible to record that in the minutes for, because obviously it says in the subject for, yeah, but yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, same question, Chair, on the operational management plan. I note that on this one, there is a room that's described as a sleepover room. I'm not at all sure that I'm comfortable with a sleeping member of staff being on duty in a house like this, where you've got, in this case, is it 4 young people? It may not be a planning issue, but I don't want to be a member of a development committee that says yes to a situation which puts young people in where they may not be safe. And I'm very uncomfortable. So same question over the operational management plan. And is there anything we can do to make sure that the staff that are on duty are actually awake? In this case, I note the sleepover room is on the ground floor and separated from the rest of the house by a lobby. All sorts of things could be going on. One of these children could wander out into the night, and this member of staff wouldn't even know. I don't want to be voting for something that puts children in that kind of position.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, I think, we all have a requirement from a pervasive perspective to think about safeguarding whatever actual area of the council we work for. So the fact that it's been brought up, I'm sure the planning officers can then take it up with whichever whether it's children's services or whoever, and as a flag. And I think that's the best we can do, because I think, again, it's not a planning issue, but a safeguarding issue to therefore bring up with the relevant department in that respect. Thank you, Chair.
There is an additional issue actually with these houses being next door to each other. Is a member of staff in one house overnight going to be in charge of both houses? I'm really concerned about it. And you may well tell me that legally it's not a planning issue, but you're asking me to vote, as I did on the previous one, for a change of use. And I'm very uncomfortable with the danger that we may be putting some of these young people in if the management isn't right.
I think they're two different companies. Looking at the agenda.
I haven't done a company's house check, but I don't know whether the two companies are in the same ownership. They may not.
This one is Children of Prosper. This Mandip Singh Basra, and the other one is Forever 13 Care Limited.
They're not in same ownership, but they're in same family. So I think one brother runs one of the homes and the sister runs the other home.
Yeah. Okay. Go on then.
And sorry, when there was the interference on the mic, is item 8, 25-01301, is that, did you say for 4 people?
Let me just check.
And it's item 9 that's for 3, because if so, the conditions I think will need to be changed, because item 8 does refer to 3 persons.
Okay, let me have a quick
And
look.
if so, that would need to be changed under your delegated. I'll just double check. Have I got the right? That's what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, let me have a quick look, sorry. So, sorry, 14 Needham Road is, I think I've got myself all mixed up on this. 14 Needham Road is 3 children and 16 Needham Road is 4 children. Sorry, Councillor Ridgen, I was correct.
So as set out in the report.
Yes, in fact,
Right,
report.
good.
So I obviously got in my presentation, I got the two confused. On the issues raised by Councillor Franks in the management plan, it says during night there will be 2 members of staff. So it won't be one. There'll be one member. There will be 2 members of staff at night in the care home. Yeah. It just says there will be 2 members of staff at night. Staff. We can clarify with. I can clarify with the agent to see if they will be waking or sleeping staff, and I can get them to amend. Clarify. Okay.
Clive, do you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering whether this sleepover room, is it for staff or could it be for family members of the children who are visiting and staying overnight, something like that, rather than for staff? Maybe we could get that
I
clarified.
think you're probably right.
I can clarify the members won't be the family members won't be visiting the site. There'll be site visits will be arranged off-site, so families won't be staying at the care home, according to the information submitted.
Okay.
Just think, if whoever is going to be regulating these 2 operations, whether it's the council's children's services or Ofsted, should be made aware of these concerns to ensure that they police it properly and accurately.
Any further questions? Any comments? Francis?
I just think it's a bit strange. You've got 2 different companies putting in applications for 2 properties next to each other. The same use. But I think it's not a planning issue, but
No, that's right.
I wonder if, as Councillor Frank says, if the companies are connected, and would it have any implication for them to try and, again, I don't think this is a planning issue, but merge them and build between them or anything like that?
It's only speculation, really.
Yeah, well, yeah. You asked for comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Reasonable comments, please.
Oh, sorry.
If they wanted to increase, we've put conditions restricting the number of children. So if they wanted to make them bigger, they would need to come back for planning permission anyway.
Okay. No comments? The recommendation is to approve, subject to the conditions. I'll move approval. Is that seconded?
Go to the vote.
Right.
Chair. Thank you. If I could just have your vote, please. Councillor Adjasola.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Ambia. Thank you. Councillor Bridgen.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Farouk.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Franks. Thank you. Councillor Mead.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Raja. Thank you. Councillor Steer.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
For.
Thank you. That's unanimous. Chair.
Okay. We'll now go on to the last one tonight, which is page 44. Ages Year 1 at school, which we've dealt with in the past.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. This proposal is the minor material amendment to Planning Permission 23-00957 REG3, dated 27th February 2024, at Lady Leah Verner School, Leagrave. This includes the internal remodelling of the existing building, along with minor elevation and fenestration changes and the construction of 2 new extensions. The application site forms a special educational needs school approved in 2023 at the Development Management Committee, and this formed phase 1 of the project. Phase 2 was also approved at DM Committee in February 2024. This application is therefore a minor material amendment to the phase 2 application approved in 2024. The proposal is a Luton Borough Council application and has been brought before members as it received 1 objection as required by the scheme delegation. The proposal seeks to infill the previously approved canopy structure located on phase 2 of the Waller School development. So the map on screen to the left of the yellow line is phase 1. The blue buildings outlined in blue is phase 2, and the red square denotes the location of the extensions. And this is the floor plan, again denoted by the red square. And then the elevations on the screen now that compare what was previously approved and what is proposed under this scheme. The enclosed area would accommodate 2 additional classrooms. Since the school opened, operational experience has identified a need for 2 further classroom spaces in order to deliver the full curriculum for the already approved 128 pupil intake. The development does not seek to increase pupil staffing or visitor numbers beyond those already established under the original plan permission. The infill extension would sit wholly within the footprint of the phase 2 building as previously approved, and owing to its limited scale, subordinate form, and the use of matching materials, the proposal would integrate seamlessly with the existing building. As such, no design concerns arise, and development would maintain the character, appearance, and coherence of the overall scheme. Given its location within the interior of the site and the modest nature of the works, the infill would not be perceptible from the public realm. Therefore, no adverse impacts on the street scene are anticipated. The proposal does not introduce any additional massing, overlooking opportunities, or significant changes in activity close to the site boundaries. The internal reconfiguration of and small-scale enclosure of an already approved canopy area would therefore have no material implications for neighbouring residential amenity. In regard to the objection received, there was no objection in principle, but the significant concerns about traffic on Strangers Way was raised. It was noted that severe congestion already occurs at school drop-off and pick-up times. It noted concerns regarding new housing development, adding further traffic pressures. That previously agreed traffic mitigation has not been implemented, and that rising traffic undermines the school climate action targets. Considering these objections, the proposal relates solely to the infill of an already approved canopy to form 2 additional classrooms. Importantly, the development does not pose any increase in pupil numbers, staffing, or visitor movements. As such, no increase in traffic is anticipated as a result of this application. In regards to the highway improvements earmarked for the area, these would be unrelated to this scheme. However, if members do have questions regarding this, highway colleagues may be able to provide further detail on the status or timing of any traffic management measures. In conclusion, the development represents minor and operationally necessary adjustment to the approved Phase 2 scheme, enabling the school to effectively meet its curricular needs. The proposal is acceptable in design terms. It does not affect the street scene, does not result in harm to neighbouring amenities, and raises no material highway concerns. Approval subject to conditions in Appendix 1 is therefore recommended. Thank you.
Any questions? David?
Yeah, just curious, a number of the conditions are followed by the words in red, pending consideration. Somebody explain what that means, please?
Yeah, so I can clarify that. So we currently have some discharge of condition applications in, but they have been submitted on the basis of the original application. So those details that have been submitted are still being considered by us, dealing with various issues. Some need additional information. So yeah, it's just to show that they are in the process of discharging various conditions related to the original permission.
The planning permission. You said.
They do, yeah. I think we're probably going to have to look into sort of, because it's done the consideration, whether we amend them to refer to this minor material amendment application, or vice versa. But yeah, they're under consideration at the minute. So
yep. Okay. Any further questions? Any comments? And the recommendation for this Ladies Year 1 school is to approve. I'll move approval. Is that seconded?
Thank you, Chair. If I could just take your vote, please. Councillor Ajisola.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Ambier. Thank you. Councillor Bridgen.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Farouk.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Franks.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Mead.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Raja. 4. Thank you. Councillor Steer.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
4.
Thank you. That's carried.
Carried.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
It's been granted. That's the extent of the business. Thank you very much for your attendance.